I'm Sharon Bill. Welcome to my Music Theory Tuition series where I work with you step by step through the ABRSM Discovering Music Theory grades. I'll work through every single exercise and explain everything you need to know. You can access information about the books I have available to help you on my website. Go to sharonbill.com. For advert-free and longer lessons, you can become a patron at patreon.com/SharonBill. If you can give me a like, that would be super, and please do subscribe to my channel to stay updated. You can support this channel by buying me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/SharonBill. Continuing with the topic of dots and ties, we're moving on to page 26 of Discovering Music Theory in the Grade 1 booklet. And so exercise 5 is asking us to add a dot to one note in each melody to make the bars add up to the correct number of beats. And so what that means is one of these bars is going to be some time value short that can be made correct by adding a dot. So we're not adding notes, we're not adding rests, we're adding a dot. So our first job is to find where the missing beat is. So we should have 4 crotchet beats per bar. So let's find the missing beat first of all. So we've got a 2 beat, a 1 beat and a 1 beat. That's 4, so that one's okay. We have a 1, 2 halves gives us 1 beat, plus 2 gives us 4. That's correct, that bar is complete. We have a 2 beat and a 1 beat, that's 3. And so this is our missing bar, we are a beat short. Now, if you remember, a dot is half of the value of the note that it follows. And so in order to make the dot the right value to complete the bar, we need to place it next to something that's twice the value that we need. And so we need 1 beat, don't we, to make 4. And so in order for the dot to be worth 1 beat, it needs to follow something twice that. It needs to be placed after a 2 beat note, because then the 2 beat plus half as much again gives us 1. That's now a 3 beat note, plus 1 creates 4 beats, and now that bar is complete. This bar, of course, is complete with just that final note. And so you can see that we need to find something that's twice the value of what we need. So let's now check over the answers for the next exercise. I'm hoping that you've had a go of this on your own, but let's see what we've got that's missing. So we need to find 2 beats. There's beat 1, a half plus a half gives us beat 2. That bar is complete. And then just to kind of help with the maths, we have a half of a beat, we have a quarter and a quarter. So there's 1 beat. And we can tell that it's 1 beat because it's all nicely beamed together. They're grouped in 1 beats. Now here we have a half of a beat. Now this rest here is a semiquaver rest, which is only worth a quarter of a beat. And so we only actually have 3/4 of a beat. We've got a half of a beat here, and we've got a quarter of a beat. We are quarter of a beat missing. And so in order for the dot to be worth a quarter, it needs to follow something twice that value, and that would be there. So because the quaver is worth half a beat, the dot is half as much again. There's our quarter of a beat there. And so that's now complete. The final bars are complete. There's only 1 in each melody. So the final one, we should have 3 beats in a bar. We've got 2 beats there, 1 beat there. 2 plus 1 is 3, that's complete. 1, 2, 3, that's complete. We have a 1 beat, we have a half a beat, and then 2 halves give us a beat. So we only have 2.5 beats here. We are half of a beat missing. And so in order for the dot to be worth that missing half of a beat, it's got to follow something that's worth twice that value. And so twice the value of a half is a full beat. There is our note. And that's then correct. We know that that's one beat. Half of one is a half. There's our missing half of a beat. So that's exercise 5 completed. Moving on to exercise 6, we're just going to do some musical sums, get our maths brain going, just a little bit of musical addition. But we've got to answer the sum with one note, not the number. We have to think of the numbers first, of course, though. So looking at exercise A, we know that a semiquaver is a quarter of a beat. We know that a quaver is a half of a beat, and then the dot is half of that value again. Half of a half is a quarter. And so adding everything together, a half plus a quarter in the dot plus a quarter in the note gives us a whole one, which is one beat, which is a crotchet. So let's have a go at this next one. So we have a 2 beat, and then a crotchet is worth 1. The dot is half as much again, that's half, 1 1/2, and then we have another half of a beat in this quaver. So we've got 2, 3 plus 2 halves gives us another beat, that's 4, and so we need a 4 beat note, which is going to be a semi-breve. Finally, exercise C, we have a 1 beat. We have 2 halves, which gives us another beat. And then here we've got a quaver, which is half a beat. And then the dot is half as much of that, again, which is a quarter. And then here we have another quarter. A half and 2 quarters gives us a whole beat. So we have 1, 2, 3 beats all together, which is our dotted minim, because the minim is 2, half as much again is 1, 2 plus 1 equals 3. There's our note. It's suggested here that you could have a go at clapping some of these rhythms, and I suggest that if you do, it's finding ways of counting these, keeping in time and finding sort of sounds that make the noise, as it were, to help you. I remember in school it used to be ta, te, taffa, teffa, tiffy. I got so confused that what is this about? It's just sounds to help to keep you in time. So for example here we've got 2 beats in bar 1, 2 and 1 and a 2. 1, 2 and 1, 2. Just finding ways of clapping rhythms like that. You've always got this pulse of the beats per bar. It takes a bit of practice, just learning to tap your toe quietly inside your shoe as you keep the pulse and count the rhythms. But by all means do have a go of that. Meanwhile, we're just going to carry on with exercise 7. And we're going to write some notes in order. So we've got to figure out which is the longest. Well, it's going to be one of these. And we know that a dot makes a note longer. So there's our, well, actually, I think, let's just make this a bit easier. We've got a 3 beat, because 2 plus 1 is 3. We've got a half a beat there. We've got a 1 beat there. A minim is 2. And then a dotted crotchet is 1 1/2. That takes a bit of the thinking out of it, doesn't it? So now we can see quite easily which order these go in. So we've got the 3 beat note first, the dotted minim. Then we have the 2 beat note. Crossing these out just so I don't get lost. There's a lot to think about, isn't there? And then we have a 1 1/2 dotted crotchet, because we know that that's got to be longer than that because a dot makes a note longer. Then we've got the 1 beat. Then we've got half a beat. There we go. Much easier to just map it out first, isn't it? So far we've written dots just in a blank space here. However, when you're writing on the stave, you'll notice that when the note is on a line, when the note is on a space, the dot is in that space. When the note is on a line, you just pop it to the space above. You can't write a dot on the line, so you just pop it in the space above. Now we've got the option to do many things in this final challenge. We've got to write our own rhythm, so everyone will be writing something different. We need to make sure that we've got the time signature of our choice. And then we've got to make sure we include at least one tie, one dotted note and one rest. So the opportunities here are endless. Let's just have a go at a couple and you can perhaps come up with your own. Let's start off with 4/4 because that's quite a big bar and that gives us lots of opportunity to do lots of different things. So we'll have a 1-beat note. And then I think we'll have a 1-beat note tied to a 1-beat note. So in actual fact, we've now got a 2-beat note. So we've only got 1 beat left, haven't we? So let's just get a few smaller divisions. So let's have, now you could have 2 quavers like that. And this is an interesting sort of sidestep view of looking at dots. If you remember the old-fashioned brass scales, where if things are equally weighted, the scales are at the same level. But if one becomes heavier, it goes lower and the other side goes up. And so there's this kind of equal, unequal, equal, unequal. And that's the way I visualise ties. If that one has been made longer, this one must be made shorter. Because we've gone, instead of from half and half equal, we've gone from 3/4 to 1/4. And so I just imagine that visually doing the same job as the scales would do. That's just the way my brain works. So there's our bar full. Let's do another bar. We'll have a 1-beat note and then we'll have a rest. We've got to have a rest, haven't we? So we've got a tie, we've got a dot, now we need a rest. So we'll have a crochet beat rest. So 1, add 1 is 2, and we'll finish it with a minim. Let's do one more. You're only required to do one, but we'll do another one just for good measure. So we'll count 3 beats per bar now. Let's start with a dotted note. So we'll have a dotted crochet. That's 1.5 beats. So let's finish that because that's the beat 1. That's the start of beat 2. So let's finish beat 2 with a quaver. And then we'll have a crochet, and if we put a bar line and another crochet, we can tie over the bar line, and that's done the job. And we'll have a 1-beat rest and a 1-beat note. And we could finish, we can go the extra mile and have another dotted note to finish. Lots of opportunities there. You have a go. I'm sure yours will be different. Just make sure the maths is correct and each bar is correctly full. I hope this is helpful to your studies. Please do like and subscribe to stay updated. If you'd like to support this channel, you can buy me a coffee, and for advert-free lessons, you can become a patron. Do visit my website where you'll find many resources available to help you. Visit sharonbill.com. Thanks for watching. Bye.